Jill to see if she's available by phone. Let's see. Got mine and Mike, okay. We'll see what she replies. And in the meantime, good to be back. Sorry I missed that last meeting. Had a wonderful trip on the Danube. And
So you were able to sail?
what's that? Yes.
Not, okay, great.
Yeah, the last 30 kilometers were at the speed of about 5 to 10 miles an hour because the boat ship drafted about 5 feet 7 inches. They had 6 feet of water.
Oh.
So they went real slow not to stir anything up. And so we were able to make it. We were late into Budapest, but that's okay because we got there by ship. So it was a wonderful trip. If you ever get an opportunity to do that, I'd say take it. Oh, of course, you have to pay for it. That's the downside to it. Man. So it was wonderful.
How much we
Where
got
should
in
we
the
put
fire
that?
truck?
Where should we put it on the agenda?
Oh,
Let's see.
2018 budget spending.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. So we got in on Tuesday afternoon, and I kind of tried to rest up and hit the ground running at the same time, which isn't easy to do. So we just said goodbye to Rita, and we get to say hello to Bob Morgan.
Yeah.
Bob back on the
Good to be back.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the card. I got
Yeah.
a nice get well card from you folks. Appreciate it.
Glad you're feeling better, Bob. Golly.
Yeah.
That was a tough go, wasn't it?
Getting back.
Do you remember the name of that medicine? Bob, do you remember the name of that
Pardon?
medicine? The name of that medicine?
Oh, Android or
That's
some
a
type.
fast
yeah.
answer.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, there we go. Boss is texting
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Bob?
You wanna send
Oh,
it?
an Android or some type. I don't have the name with me.
Okay, because I want to make sure I get that written down.
Yeah,
Never take it.
We all wanna know what that is that we want to avoid.
Yeah. and-
Not take under.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's pretty good stuff, but
You think
some people
so?
are allergic to it. You know.
Oh, you think it's an allergy?
Yeah. Well, they said you're allergic to that stuff.
Oh, well, I see.
I always love when you get those questionnaires that say, are you allergic to any drugs? And you're
Yeah.
going, wow.
Yeah.
I
And they
think
give you
so
something
many
and
I
you go,
have.
yeah,
I am not, now I know I am.
yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
witch doctors.
A little bit of Jack Daniels would have been better.
Good to see everybody again, and so we'll go through the old agenda here, and Jill and live and in person, how about that?
2 months in a row.
This is really something. We have the roll taken, so I guess we could have the minutes of last month's meeting presided over by Mary Cartwright. Thank you for presiding in my absence, Mary.
It's once in a while, it's Veep. I wore a sign saying Veep, because you said the Veep.
Oh, that's
would be
right.
the show.
Madam Deep.
Okay, Superior Historical Commission meeting minutes, August 17th. The meeting was called to order by Vice Chairperson Mary Cartwright. In attendance were commission members Mary Cartwright, Lindsay Flewelling, Katie Olson, Jill Roberts, Errol Waligorski, and Karen Waligorski. Staff Brian Meyer and Allison Janis. Town Board Liaison Rita Dozell and others. Maureen Hogue, Mike Hogue, and Dalton Vallette. The minutes of the July 20th meeting were read. Jill Roberts moved they be approved as amended. Katie Olson seconded the motion, and the motion carried. The treasurer's reports were given as follows. Brian Meyer reported that the fire truck account currently has a balance of $467.50. Brian reported there is $4,401.97 remaining in the 2018 Historic Preservation account. Debriefings were discussed as follows. There was a good turnout at the museum opening on August 4th. Catherine Castillo and her sister came to visit the site where their ancestors had lived on Coal Creek. Larry took them there, and Danny Kupner provided a wealth of information to them. Avery Hopper again came to sit in the desk in the museum. Her mother expressed an interest in having her birthday party at the museum on August 29th. No one attended the Boulder Heritage Roundtable meeting on August 16th. Number 2, the Cataloging, Filing, and Donation Screening Committee of Larry, Mary, and Alan did meet and did some training on Past Perfect. 3, Jill reported on plans for the oral history video QR project. She has video from Denzel Ackland and Bob Morgan and plans to do something in Grasso and Asti Parks during the upcoming second grade field trips. She has a friend that may be able to help out on this project. She will have more to report at our next meeting, September 21st. Karen reported that a thank you note was sent to the people who donated to the commission in Ted Asti's memory. The cemetery working group plans to meet at the cemetery August 23rd with Karen Stortland, Estella Cole, and a person from the CPI conference. Brian reported that $9,000 will be recommended for the 2019 budget for reprinting of the Lost Superior book. Katie Olson passed around a flyer of an example display for the historic photos at the sports stable. They are looking for sponsors of photos to raise some money. The photos will also be available for purchase. Members had some suggestions for the content of the flyer, and Katie will reflect those in a revision to the flyer. Brian reported that the photo shoot with the Lafayette Fire Department is planned for Tuesday, August 21st at 9:30. The schedule for the second grade field trips is as follows: Monarch K-8, September 14th, Superior Elementary, September 28th, and El Dorado K-8, October 5th. Mayor Folsom has offered to take commission members and volunteers to lunch on October 5th. The next ANTRAM meeting is an ice cream social at the Commerce City Historical Society, August 20th. Brian reported that Patrick Hammer has been in touch with George Leo Kuffner regarding a plaque to be placed as a memorial to George Kuffner. They are proposing a bench be added at Kuffner Field rather than the plaque originally planned for the minecart in front of Town Hall. Lindsay Llewellyn led a discussion of the long-term planning priorities from her list. She will update it based on the discussion. Brian reported that someone from Rocky Mountain Fire will drive our fire truck in the Louisville Labor Day Parade September 3rd. Mary and Katie expressed an interest in being present, as well as Larry. New business, staffing for the September 1st museum opening was discussed. There will be a Boulder Heritage Roundtable meeting September 20th at the Boulder Public Library. The next ANTRAM meeting will be a training meeting, topic to be determined, at Boulder County Parks and Open Space September 10th. Avery's birthday party at the museum is scheduled for 4:30 with preparation beginning at 3:30. A few commission members should be present to oversee the party and provide a short talk to the children. It was agreed that we will not charge a fee, but instead suggest that they could donate to the Historical Commission. Wally moved that the meeting be adjourned at 11:25, and Lindsay seconded the motion. Next meeting will be September 21st.
What was the amount of the reservation account?
Okay, 440197,
That'll be different, huh?
and it was 467.50.
Any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Just Allison's last name, it's Allison James.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. Hold on.
It's not that big of a deal, but it is
Well, we can fix it though.
James, yeah.
James?
Yes.
Thank you.
I didn't think that seemed right. Janice, the
I
Roman
think I
god.
was maybe reading her writing wrong.
Yeah.
And that could be, yeah.
Thank you.
Motion to accept the minutes as corrected.
So move.
Mary. Second?
Come on, Bob.
Second.
Oh, I wasn't here, so.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, so we'll just do it by acclamation, okay?
Yep.
I'm gonna just set this out here for right now. thought you might, I actually dropped by the museum and took this up so you could see it live and in person, this crazy thing that Clint Folsom found in this construction crew found in the wall, and they took the interior wall off. Apparently they found that nailed up against the inside siding. And here's the soapbox that we got from another donor, and I think we're gonna pop it out and make it into a box and have it sitting up by the washing machine. So I thought you might like to see that and join in on the historical mystery search about what's the surface that it's on, and why was it in there, and when was it? There's a copyright date on it, like 1998 or something like that. So it's I think Clint said the house was built like in 1902 or 1904 or something like that too. So okay, here we go. The museum opening on September 1st. Went well. Had a lot of people, a lot of lookers.
The treasurer's account, or the?
I apologize. Let's update the treasurer's report from Brian and or Bob.
Well, the numbers I got here is $534.50 for the fire truck account, yeah, no.
Okay.
Got,
$34.50?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got 3 checks here for the Dennisville Memorial, so I don't know how, give that to you, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Not for Brian, but to Brian.
And
And we
what,
can discuss that. I
Okay,
put it as
thank you.
item
Yeah, as
4
an
under
item
new
on
business.
okay, thank
On
you.
what we
Yeah,
wanna
there's
do
3
with
checks
those.
in there.
Okay.
Now, I got the addresses of the people that donated those 3 checks. You want that, Karen? Or what?
Eventually,
Okay.
yeah.
I got that written down, but yeah, that's a total of $225.
Oh, okay.
All right, the historic preservation account balance is $4,322.99.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry I overlooked that.
Oh, that's right.
So
Brian, does
carried
that
away.
take all the construction that's been happening into consideration, so we still have that much left?
Which construction?
Well, or maybe we weren't charged for that trenching, but fixing the back porch, and is there anything else that?
Yeah, there's nothing outstanding or going on right now.
We need to get spending that money.
Yeah.
Well, back porch was last year, wasn't it?
Back porch was last
But
year, and then
broken.
we'll have a pretty good
Oh,
update,
yeah,
Larry and
that's-
I will, on number 11.
Yeah.
We'll have we can discuss
Okay.
further, yeah, that's a
Okay, thank
pretty
you.
healthy chunk, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they had a trench going through
I
there
know,
for a while,
yeah.
but I don't think that had anything to do with us
No.
necessarily.
Right. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that too.
Yeah.
Hopefully Brian's got an answer.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, now the museum opening on first, so we had the fire truck was out, and it attracted some lookers, and Danny dropped in once or twice that day, and so it was a pretty big day. Any other observations about that opening? Yesterday I went to the roundtable meeting and got some good information on a couple of things. I think I'll save it a little bit till we get more information. But I actually got the name of the guy who was the head of the Rocky Mountain Fuel Company who torpedoed the landmarking of the industrial mine site because of the mineral rights. So I might be able to have a conversation with him and see if he's still that adamant about it. And one of the things, a couple of weeks ago, right before I left, one of the people on the Historic Roundtable is Julie, who works for the City of Boulder Open Space, and the City of Boulder recently acquired what was at one time the county poorhouse, and so I'll pass that around. So I got a tour of it right before we left, and hi Lindsay, welcome.
Where's that at?
It's on 63rd and Valmont. Well, It's at Valmont on 63rd Street. You know, if you go, driving down Valmont Boulevard, Street, whatever it is, and you take a left at Valmont, and it goes right up and does a 90-degree turn to the right, then about half a mile, next 90-degree turn to the left, and that's where this is located. So it's, it was a county poorhouse back in the early 1900s, and then it was a family farm, and the lady just sold it to the town, the city of Boulder, just within the last year, I think. She's up in her 90s, and it's a fantastic property, and the house is great. It's got the woodwork is fantastic, but boy, it's got the leftovers of the 60s and 70s, but it still has the lime green and orange shag carpet.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it's pretty. So you got that beautiful wood, and there's that orange floor. So at any rate, that was a fun field trip. We also went to a farmhouse on approximately 75th and Arapahoe that the city of Boulder now owns too, and got to take a look. That one's been all renovated. But okay, so anybody go to the Antrim in Commerce City?
Never had any information about it. Zilch.
Had that early email and then nothing after that. Huh? Yeah. Well, Avery's birthday party, the party itself went really well, and the little girl was so darn cute, hard to believe, and all of her little friends were cute. The people who came were her grandparents and her preschool teacher, or kindergarten teacher, and some of her little friends and so forth. So you see down below, new business number 5, we're going to talk about doing these kinds of things in the future. Well, we got the fire truck in the Louisville parade. I did communicate with Brian and Patrick about what prevailed that day, because the fireman who showed up to drive it didn't have his practice runs, and so he drove it cold after a little coaching from me, and so I think we still have that issue to wrestle with about who gets to drive it, because obviously some persons who did have experience driving it weren't able to drive it, and somebody who did. So, and I could hear the gears grinding as we were from my car as we were driving down the street. So it took him a while to get onto the shifting and clutching and all that sort of thing.
You know, all you need to do is buy a standard shift, and you got a anti-theft device.
That's right. Isn't that the truth?
Yep.
So, Mayor, you want to add anything to the parade itself?
No, it was fun, of course,
It was
and
fun.
can always use more candy, whatever it is you need more. But yeah, it was good, and I think people were excited.
Mayor Folsom was there, and his wife was there, and his 2 kids were there. So the boys had to ride in the cab, and then yeah, I hadn't seen that parade in a long time. It looked like it reminded me of a scene from India or something like that, where there's these millions of people and the millions of people kind of part as the car goes through the mob. It was just all these, it was a huge mob scene. Of course, all these kids were running out into the street to get the candy, and it was a little scary in some respects. But
We did have the idea, and now there's enough time maybe to get it going for next year, to approach Louisville to have their historic fire truck out, and Lafayette, and have the 3 of them together in that parade. We just thought that would be ever so cool. So maybe how soon would we need for that, Brian? Maybe start approaching the other towns March-ish or something like that?
Yeah, that's probably good, yeah, spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few months.
don't lose sight of the idea, though, huh?
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool to have 3 old trucks in a row.
Yeah.
The church, Calvary Church in Boulder, something like that, had an old fire truck right in front of ours. Well, not right in front. It was a newer one than ours, so ours is cooler.
Ours was shinier.
That's for darn sure, yeah. Well, thanks to everybody for the successful first field trip. Any reaction, feedback to be shared now about the
The
one
kids
just
were
last
good?
week?
Mhm. I think I emailed you.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that children were probably one of the most well-behaved bunches we've ever had. They seemed to be really under control, and we didn't have to give little speeches about not touching the schoolhouses and the playground equipment that was on display there. And they were a good group.
Good.
There was only, I don't know if I should say this or not, but there was only one person there that really got to me, and that was one of their chaperones.
Oh.
Was a man, was
Uh-oh.
walking around
There's the
on
problem.
his cell phone, texting the entire time. I had a question for him, he didn't pay any attention to me, didn't even hear me.
Really?
So that kind of, I thought he was a little rude, frankly.
Well.
But the children were very well behaved and the teachers were great.
Good, good,
Yeah.
good.
One of the things I have to say about that, I give a few little rules before they go into the jail.
Uh-huh.
And I actually didn't see this happen because there was so much going on. One of the teachers went in and pulled one of the little boys out of the jail and made him come over and stand in front of me and apologize for not obeying the rules.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Is that
yeah, I mean,
right?
that's how much they had that under control.
Son of a gun.
That's great.
Nice.
And I said, well, thank you,
Uh-huh.
and didn't have any more problems.
Well, good. Boy. Did Walt Ackerman?
No.
Okay.
Now, one of the things I did this year, in case anybody's wondering what's going on down there, the catch that holds the beds up, I went and took a plastic cup and put over those this year, flipped them clear up, and then duct taped.
Oh, okay.
So when we get done with this, that will come off, but that eliminates anybody sliding down the side of it and messing there.
Okay, very good, yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that you got some more plywood in there. I
Yeah.
have no idea what happened, well, I do, but, I had written in big letters, do not take, and
Yeah.
it was the last minute, and I went in there and it's gone, so.
They got it replaced, they got
Yeah.
replaced, yeah.
And it was even painted on one side, so
Oh.
thank you.
Yeah. Seems like the new ones fit in there pretty well there.
Yes, they did.
So,
Good deal.
Because I went and raised the bid up, and I said, oh, did they find the ones I had? And I looked, and there wasn't any writing on them, so I said, no, they made some new ones.
Well, be darned. Well, very good. Way to go, big team, and guess we'll hit it again next Friday, huh?
Okay.
We'll, I think that's on the agenda someplace, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, catalog and filing update. Mary, you want to update them on that?
You want to talk about dental service?
I apologize, I already checked it off. I'm glad everybody's keeping track of it here. Hey, how was dental service?
It was a beautiful time, I
That's
thought.
good.
It was just really nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe, for.
Yes,
I hope I did him justice.
yes, you did.
Yeah.
And you were there, you didn't know it, but, or maybe you did know it, but Cheryl had submitted what you wrote in support of
Oh.
Denzel getting the Square Nail Award.
Okay, good.
The pastor read that
Uh-huh.
as your
Oh, okay.
commemoration.
Well, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know she still had that, so I sent her a copy of it in case it got misplaced over the last few years, so that's good to hear.
And Cheryl caught up with Mary and I outside at the reception, and I did get the email off to her. She may come, if work permits, on the 5th to the luncheon and she's got a grate for the stove that
Oh.
she'd like to hand off.
Uh-huh.
But I said, this would be a nice time, 'cause I know everyone would like to visit with you and,
Yeah.
extend the visit. So I don't know if it'll work out or not, but
Okay.
we have, if she shows up, that's what's going on.
Talk about October,
October 5th,
that's when we have our next one.
Mhm.
Okay, good, I hope so.
Mhm, yeah.
That'd be nice.
To anyone that wasn't there, if you want to see the,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you just
Hopefully
feel
I'll
better,
pass it around.
looking at that picture of Denzel, you just feel better, because
Yeah.
he's such a happy guy. Betty,
Betty looked amazing.
Yeah, she
For
looked
her-
good.
being that soon post-op, she was
Wow.
yeah,
but
pillar of strength physically and
Well, Good deal.
But she did have to go, they were sending her home, not back to the hospital, so Cheryl went back with her to stay for
Mhm.
X number of days or weeks. So she's in Oklahoma right now.
Well, this is nice.
Mm.
I will take some more time and look at it more extensively when I have more time. And it's nice that it worked out, you can use your church for the
Yeah, and
reception
it
too.
just was, it's quite an informal setting, so it fit.
Good.
Yeah, Cheryl was so appreciative of our having Mary helping her to
Yeah,
get a
just-
place,
yeah.
because she was kind of distressed after Betty
Mhm.
broke her hip.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mary, for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it just worked out perfectly. I don't.
Yeah,
have
Mike,
any
for your
thanks, I just
information,
thought it worked.
Maureen, then Denzel's wife fell and broke her hip
Hip.
right after the Denzel died, so getting her up here was quite a chore, so.
Well, and she had surgery.
Yeah, yeah, she had-
Right after that.
She broke and then had the repair job done on it, huh?
Mhm.
Well, I sure was sorry to miss that event, so, thanks for doing all that you did to properly remember old Denzel. You will be missed.
And just thinking of him always brings a smile to my
Yeah,
face,
yeah.
so that's.
A nice thing to be able to say, huh?
Yeah.
And it's also nice they put in a photograph in by the minecart. Well, now Mary can tell that we haven't done anything.
Yeah, we haven't done anything this month.
Lately. Thank you for that. Now, Jill?
We're supposed to get together tonight for dinner, so that's the next step. If it works, if it's the type of thing that Dave can do, I'm going to suggest he video people speaking, and so we get the audio for it, but we get the video as well at the field trips on the 28th and the 5th, but see where that goes, so.
So who are you meeting with tonight?
His name is Dave Dugdale. He's
Okay.
a Superior resident.
Oh, okay.
I know from Flyers.
Oh, got it.
But with some of the videoing he does, even if he can just help me get the pictures and the audio to it, right? If he's not available to do that, I may ask if we have enough people, someone to record the speakers,
Yes.
just even on our phones,
Uh-huh.
to do that, so.
Okay.
So,
Good
and I'm
idea.
planning to come the 28th. I don't own my calendar, but won't be here the 5th, so.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for continuing that, working on that.
Hopefully we get it done in less than 3 years from the original idea, right?
Who's counting, I guess?
Me.
Correspondence, Karen.
Okay, we sent, sympathy cards from the group to both Cheryl Valentiner and to Betty and the family, when they passed away. We need thank you notes to Mayor Folsom for the picture and to the lady that brought the soapbox. So I need to get her name and address. And thank you.
There it is.
Great.
Both of them are done.
Okay, great. And then we'll also send out thank yous to everybody that donated in memory of Denzel. And we'll wait till those are all in, and maybe they are just about all in now.
Need any help with that?
No, I think under control.
Okay.
And I think that's it. Can anybody think of anything else, any
Well-
other correspondence that needs to go out?
I thought I'd throw this out, when we were open on that last Saturday, Allie Hopper and Avery Hopper came to the museum again, and, Avery started playing with somebody, so Allie just hung around for a long time, and dropped in a $50 bill in the donation jar.
Oh,
So I don't know if we wanna acknowledge that.
yes, probably so.
Okay. I'll see what I can do to get the.
Yeah, I didn't know that had happened.
Yeah. I'll see what I can do to get the contact information, because I think I know where I can get it, so. Not from the email.
No. I wouldn't touch that one again with it.
Not gonna. Any other correspondence ideas?
Who would we thank? Her mother?
Yeah, that's who dropped it in, that's who made the
Oh,
donation.
okay, I didn't know whether it came from her and her husband, or,
Well, she was the only one who was there when she made the donation, so.
oh, okay,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I think I can find their address.
Okay,
Okay.
and maybe just say, thanks for the donation, not mention the amount, so I
Okay.
don't think there's any confusion, it was $55 tonight, I don't, I don't think somebody else dropped it.
Oh, okay.
$50, so.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for all your work on the correspondence there, Karen. Okay, other Karen, the cemetery working group report.
Yes, absolutely. So a group of us, Larry, Mary, Daryl, McCool, Dulcie Brown, Rita, and Brian and myself all met up at the cemetery. Well, we met down in the parking lot and walked. Well, some of us walked, some of us drove.
Yeah, the youngest people drove.
Up to the cemetery, took a nice, visit, looked at everything, and then went over the information that was already put together from the other group that had gone up there, and their suggestions for what the group would like to see done up there. And so we just kind of took all of those notes, put them all together, and then Brian and I have met with, I found this company, they're called CPRA, that stands for Cemetery Planning Resource Alliance, and they are a firm out of Littleton, Colorado. So we met with two of the owners of that company to kind of talk through your suggestions and wants for the cemetery. And they are currently putting together a proposal that will come back to us as staff that we'll look over and then move forward. And it's basically for the design. So it's not the actual work, but it will be for the design. And that will, once that's approved and the design is put in place, we'll definitely make sure that the cemetery working group will get together again and we'll look at those design plans and just kind of move from there. So I feel like we're in a really good place in moving forward with this
Karen,
project.
what were the suggestions?
I didn't write all this.
There was a lot.
What were the suggestions?
So basically, if you received this list that Larry had put out, I don't know when, 4/29. So that was the list that Larry
Oh,
gave out
okay.
on 4/29. I don't know if you have that.
Yeah, I do.
But that's basically.
I thought it was a revised basis.
Yeah, so we went through that and then we prioritized the items that are on here and basically came up with the prioritized items as being the old gate from Grasso Park, bringing that and incorporating that into the entry up there, doing a flagpole with lighting, general sign indicating the name of the site, and doing some paths and some different landscaping, just to kind of make the space a little more inviting and usable as we move forward, because we all know that there's going to be development up in that area, so there's going to be a lot more people in the area. So if we make it, more of an inviting space, then it won't be hopefully a space where vandalism happens. And then we can do programming down the road once we get it accessible with some trails and benches and things of that nature. So.
As part of that, I've not climbed up there, but the access seems tough.
So it's not actually tough anymore because there's a road. If you go through where the new development is, there's a road that goes right up.
Oh, okay.
And you can actually park.
If you're going into it like this in that parking lot below, if you go up through the development, there's a road up there.
Yes, so
Okay.
instead of going into the parking lot of the sports stable, you just take that
Right.
road straight up and around, and
Okay.
you just follow it right around, and you'll see where it goes straight up to
Okay.
the cemetery. And that will be where the access is, and there'll actually be a parking lot there, and an official entry to the cemetery.
Okay.
So, and these guys they're actually Colorado natives. They both went to CU. They have their kids going to CU, and so they were actually very surprised because they didn't know about this cemetery, and they're cemetery professionals. So it was, you know, kind of cool for them to hear about this and then to actually work on the project. They're quite excited. And they want to see your vision come to reality.
What do the initials stand for then?
So CPRA stands for Cemetery Planning Resource Alliance. And they've actually done quite a few projects here. There's a new cemetery in Denver that they just did all of the design work and the construction work for. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly where it is, but I can find that out if anyone's interested.
Did they decide, is the cemetery staying open for burials, or?
No, so it's been closed
officially?
for that
Okay.
for quite some time. Yeah, the last burial, when someone asked that,
Yeah, it was 36, 38.
Soon.
yeah.
I just thought it had never actually officially been.
Yes, there are Boulder County records that
Okay.
says that it is
It's
officially
closed.
closed, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause Harold Spicer was the last one they wanted to bury him in there, but they couldn't because
Okay.
it was closed.
Okay.
And that's been certainly quite a few years ago.
Will they take care of the skirting around the
Yes.
cemetery?
Yep, with the fencing and everything, yep, absolutely.
Yeah, there's some of the skirtings and
It's coming
a
loose,
little
yeah,
bent,
the
a
old
little
wind.
loose and so forth. And I don't know, Brian, are we gonna have town guys do that, stopgap it?
Yeah, I guess we'll see probably.
We'll see,
Something
because
that's-
we've actually asked them to kind of work that into the project as well as seeing if there needs to be a new material used for that won't end up, you know, falling apart and looking the way that it looks. So they'll come to us with suggestions on either repairing it or replacing it altogether
Okay.
with a different
Good.
material.
Good options.
Now, there hasn't been any signs of any new prairie dog activity.
I didn't see any, and Dulcie Brown walked, when we were up there, she walked the entire, she found some rattlesnake skins, but didn't say that there were any, and actually it wasn't rattlesnake, it was just some sort of snake
Yeah.
skin.
Oh, okay.
Let me clarify.
Spread the rumor that they're.
I know, yeah,
no, no.
Vandalism more than anything else.
Well, you've got bull
Don't come
snakes
here
there
in
on
the
there
night.
for
Right.
a reason.
You won't see the
Rattlers.
snake.
So if
The
you do-
rattlers?
Oh, yeah.
Is that
That's-
right? Oh,
Sure.
So what was
Anytime
that?
you see bull snakes, there's rattlers around.
is that right?
Yep.
Hmm.
That's what they eat
I
primarily.
did
Oh,
not
wow.
know that.
Interesting.
Oh,
So-
I just wondered, because a couple times we've mentioned the Spicer family is the only name I know of families who have relatives up there who are, the families are still living and
Mhm.
in the area. It would be nice to get them in for their suggestions as
Yes,
well.
absolutely, and thank you for bringing that up, because that is definitely a part of this process, is engaging anyone who still has family members, or who live in the area who have family members buried up there. We definitely want to engage them in this process. Patricia Carmody from, the Colorado Historic Cemetery Association, I've also been in contact with her. She was unable to attend, our meeting that day, but I've been in contact with her, and she has stressed over and over to me that that's one of the first and most important things that we need to make sure that we do, was once we get a plan together, is to talk to any family members in the area so that they're aware of what we're doing.
Is there a database for who's buried up there? I
So the-
know at the Louisville
Mhm.
Cemetery there is, but it's still active. This one, I don't know.
Right, so they're on the
Yes, we
website,
do.
if you go to the website, there's listings of each of the headstones and who's buried. It was in a project that was done back in 2002
Which website?
or 2003.
Yeah.
It's on the historic pages of the, Town of Superior website.
What's on it?
That's where I found it, and that's where the cemetery, these guys found it too. There's
Yes, there is,
a
yeah.
map that shows who's buried where.
I didn't know that.
Mhm.
We have our binders full of actual paper
Mhm.
that list their names.
Right, and there is a
things like
binder
that.
too that has more information, as well, so.
We may have relatives there and not know it.
Yeah, that's very likely, isn't it?
Yeah, if you, go to the town's website and then click on Historic Commission, at the bottom of that landing page, there's a link
Oh, yeah.
that says Superior Cemetery, and it's
I
like a
forgot that I printed
three-page.
it out. I actually have it right
yeah,
here.
Three-page document.
I did not know
I'll
that.
take a look at it.
And I think, Mike, if you want, I can always make another copy of this. You can have this copy right here. That has all the information.
Okay. I'll just look this over.
Well, a lot of the people you mentioned, Mary mentioned Spicer, but a lot of those other families are related. They're all interrelated, like the Ambrose and all those kinds of things. So, I bet there's some around. Actually, Vicki Kuffner is, Phil Kuffner's wife. She was on the commission for a while. She's interrelated to all those families too. So we could find some people who could contribute to this. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Excellent. This is very exciting.
Yeah, I'm real excited.
Yeah.
These guys are great to work with, and I think you guys will be happy with what they
Sounds like it.
put together for us.
Katie wasn't able to come today. She said she's really busy at work, and so I did shoot her one email saying, asking if there's anything new on the photos at the sports table, and she didn't have anything new, so you guys don't.
Yeah, that's
I don't think,
pretty much. I think we're just
Roll it
waiting,
out.
what we're waiting is for, to have the flyers finalized with all of the information, and I know that there were some updates that you all had suggested, and so we're just kind of waiting for that, and I think what we're kind of looking at is a 2019 kickoff for this project, because I don't think we want to kick off something like this where we're asking for sponsorships during the holidays. So I think after the holidays, the first of the year, I think it'll be a great time to kick off this project and really make it happen with the businesses.
And I'd like to kind of be a backup to go over the photos, make sure they're all
Mhm.
properly accounted for and text
Excellent,
so
yep.
okay and everything like that. I know you will. Okay, thank you. Photo shoot with Lafayette Fire Department.
yeah, with that, so I, attempted to arrange, the photo shoot with, Lafayette, but the one day we did have, weather was a little bit gloomy that day, with potential for rain, so we didn't wanna chance that, so really right now, Wally and Larry, if you guys can shoot me some potential dates, and then I can talk with Jerry and Lafayette, and we can get that scheduled, so really as simple as that, and Matt and I can get it over there, so preferably in the fall, early October.
Well, Larry, you and I'll have to get together and see what works out for us, because I've got several things going on, so I'll definitely try and work it in between here someplace, because I'd like to go.
Hi, Daryl.
Hello.
Um,
Thank you.
Okay.
We just finished
Guess
talking
we'll-
about the cemetery working group.
Oh, darn.
Okay, second grade field trip staffing confirmed.
Okay, I've got my list that I had compiled,
Okay.
Do you want to just hear it? Do you want me to just hand this over?
Why don't you just go
Okay,
ahead.
so the
We'll listen
28th,
to you.
Wally and Karen, do you know if you'll be here the 28th?
I think we'll be here for both of them.
Okay,
That's not an absolute for sure, but
okay.
mostly for sure.
Okay, well, Alan, myself, Karen and Wally, and yourself, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Katie cannot come on the 28th. So that's who we have.
I'll try and be there,
And
Mary.
you're 50/50, okay, I've got, pardon, and Bob?
I'll try and be there,
Okay.
see how it goes.
And would you prefer being with Karen by the school?
By the school,
You're-
or by
okay.
the museum. or-
Okay. That will be helpful.
So what's the total number there, Mary?
6,
6.
with you and Wally being at Grasso. I would love to be at Grasso, but I'm probably needed at the other. So, and then on the 5th,
3 people each place.
Ellen again will be there, and she's gonna be at the museum. Myself probably at the museum, Karen possibly. And then Wally and Larry, and then and Katie can come that day, so I want her to be at Grasso, so she has the Grasso experience once, like Ellen did last time.
I might be there that day too.
On the
I forgot
5th?
my calendar, but I think I'm not working that day,
Okay,
maybe.
so, would you prefer the museum or Grasso?
Just wherever you meet somebody.
Okay.
Good. Well, sounds like we're in good shape then, staff-wise, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what do we have, 90 kids each for the next two?
Just one of those,
I think it was 70 for one and
yeah,
90 for
I think
the
it's 90 for Superior and 70 for Monarch, yeah.
Okay.
So so that's gonna be, Superior's gonna be bigger than El Dorado was too, so.
Wasn't, last year was like a really small year for second grade classes, and then this year seems bigger, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's kind of showing up this year too, except for that one for 90, because the El Dorado is only 60 or 70, I think, too, yeah, so, yeah. People took a vacation or didn't take a vacation. Okay, so I think we're set for that. And did you, all put up the tent for the last one?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay.
They wisely used the shade of a tree and moved the table over where there was this lovely
Okay.
shaded tree.
Yeah, we definitely had to be in the shade.
Yeah.
And in fact, the teacher requested of me at one point that we not leave the kids in the sun. She said, we need to all stay in the shade.
Was it
And we
really?
did, and that was great.
Yeah, well, it was hot then too. huh?
Yeah, it was very hot that day.
Okay, and then, just thought of something, I forgot.
I guess we'll have to assess whether we want that tent up there, you know, even if we get it down
Yeah.
closer to Mine Cart, either one of those days. If we do, we'll just, a couple of us will have to get over there earlier and,
Yeah.
and try and get it put up.
Yeah, I don't know if it's any moisture happening or anything like that.
Well, yes.
Or if it's hot, we can get it up, huh? Okay.
We
Very
managed to
good.
find shade. There were some good shade trees there, so.
Also, right before I left, I sprayed for those doggone wasps and hornets, and when Brian and I were over there a couple of days ago, it's really active right now, so,
Yeah.
I
back.
sprayed again that morning
yeah,
because, and I left the can of sprays upstairs in the museum. right now.
okay.
But yeah, they're,
Brian and I are talking about hitting it before, a couple days before the next field trip. And there were a lot of them. Want to tell them what happened,
Oh,
Brian?
no, yeah, I just got randomly stung on the cheek, just standing about 10 yards from the entrance, unprovoked. So, I mean, they were everywhere on that kind of window frame there.
because they're up
Yep, yeah,
Well,
they like,
fly in.
under the,
Yeah, and
The
they
mold
fly-
in that corner, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you know how the wood overlaps, it leaves a gap,
Yeah.
and where the window comes down, and they fly in, and they're actually, was it you and I, Bob, or Denzel and I found?
I'm sorry?
A couple years ago, we found they were actually nesting back inside the wall.
Mhm.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so we took the screen down and like got it in there.
Yeah, they also
So
did
the suggestion was made,
Other
next time we
drawing,
do
you know.
that, is we may need to fill those gaps
Yeah.
along the
Oh,
Yeah,
window.
that might not be a bad idea.
Yeah,
actually, huh?
because they're going
Caulk those
into
or
that,
something.
and that's why that whole window gets the,
That's good.
Yeah,
as they die, we find all the dead wasps, they're dead wasps.
yeah,
Yeah. You were okay though.
yeah.
Okay. You don't look any worse for the winter.
Yeah, but he wasn't even real close to the activity either, when
No.
he came over.
No, no, yeah.
I guess it was a
He was just ticking them off.
preemptive strike on Brian.
Yeah, out of nowhere. I mean, I'll have our parks guys, a couple mornings before next Friday, have them spray thoroughly, so. Cause with all those kids around, I mean, it's, like I
Right.
said, I was unprovoked when I got stung, so.
I'm just wondering, you know, where that lap siding is that goes into to the frames of the doors and the windows. If, it wouldn't be wise to get some caulking
Yeah,
and, to help control.
oh, yeah.
Think
Cause
so.
those yellow jackets, they're everywhere anyway.
Mhm.
I think
Keep them
they're-
from getting into the wall as
Well,
much.
And I
you know,
think they're probably in what we saw, and it might have been Denzel, not you, I was like, they were pretty much, I think, in the wall.
That's what I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
too, yeah.
they
Yeah.
get inside there.
And I think they're in the wall, and I think they might be getting under the shingles in that very,
Yeah.
that corner of
I mean,
it.
the good news is they're not coming into the house.
Right.
I'm not smart enough to
Yeah.
do that, right?
Those yellow jackets.
Oh.
How did two of those get on the ark anyway? That's what I wanna
I didn't vote them on.
know. Okay.
Brian, as they spray the house, you might have them check that pump again.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because there were some
Yeah.
there
Hmm.
a month or so
Yeah,
ago.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Latest on the plaque from Brian?
Yeah, I don't have any significant update from Patrick on that. I
Okay.
imagine once I do, I'll let the group know, but still going with the bench, in between the baseball fields, at Community Park, more than likely.
Oh, community park.
Well, yeah, okay, either Community Park or Kuffner Field, so either of those options, I think we'll probably then work with, the Crown Trophy in Boulder, and do a similar plaque with it that we did with the swing bench in Asty Park, you know, there's that,
Yeah.
that plaque, so it'll probably be that same.
Okay.
So yeah, I just don't have any, I
Okay.
don't think that's progressed too much.
Very good.
Brian, are you
Yeah.
finding that the family's in agreement on where they want it? The reason I'm saying that is because at Denzel's, at the reception after Denzel's ceremony, I sat with Gladys. Gladys says the family is feuding over where they want the plaque to be. And I said, well, we don't wanna get in the middle of all that.
Yeah,
But I didn't know what you were finding.
yeah, you know, I think, I can't really speak to that, I know Patrick's communicating, I think mainly with, George Leo Kuffner on that, but yeah, I don't know anything further than that.
Okay,
So,
well.
there could, I just don't know.
I just wanted to give
Yeah.
you a heads up.
Yeah.
Gladys thinks they're feuding over where it's supposed to go.
Yeah,
Don't know how true that is.
yeah,
but-
yeah, not sure.
Okey-doke. Long-term planning. Lindsay.
Okay, I'm a little sick, so my like energy level for this is not great.
Ooh.
But yeah, did anybody need I kept the sheets that we copied last time.
You didn't have something copied?
No, last time we copied
Oh.
the draft list, so
Mhm.
did anybody need a copy of it to pass it out?
I could look at it again and then give it back to
Yeah.
you, because I neatly left it at home.
Well, I wasn't
Bill and
here,
I
so
can
maybe
share.
Thanks. Since I was-
So yeah, last time we went through the museum building section, museum displays in Aston Park.
Who had an extra copy of it? She made a copy of it. Yeah. This is a. Said it's the same.
So what I did was, when I got home, I put them all, I kind of arranged it by timeline, so I made a list of everything we wanted to do this fall, and then everything by early next year, and then sort of longer term things to think about. But yeah, we could go through the Grasso Park section and see where we get, I guess. I guess for the Grasso Park barn, there were lots of concerns on here.
And I think we'll probably be speaking to most of those in the new business, because we got some, we worked on it a couple of days ago,
Okay.
on the barn itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So for those, should I just
yeah.
kinda group them together and cross it off, or I don't know?
Well, again, we're going to talk about that. What's gonna happen is we're gonna take care of we're gonna get a proposal from Pedro to take care of between Pedro and town staff. We're gonna get the broken window taken care of, barn doors stabilized. And we also have an idea about the mouse droppings, working on the step.
And the floor being uneven.
Stove's already moved into the house,
Yeah.
It is.
wasn't it?
I didn't see it in there.
Oh.
In the house.
What was
We
that
didn't
again?
go in the house, though, did we?
We didn't go in the house, so I can't see that.
I think the stove's in that storage lean-to.
Oh, okay.
The
Oh, yeah,
Potbelly
everything
stove.
inside the barn that was in there that it's all been removed, and
Yeah.
There's a Superior sign and stuff, that's all been put around in the back, leaning up. So yes, the front part's been cleaned out.
Well, yeah, the
Except for the
object's been
mousetrap.
taken out, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Not-
Okay,
not
so
the
that
roof.
stove's at the, in the lean-to then, you're saying? Okay.
I don't know, I didn't look in there, so that part.
Yeah, I saw it a few months ago. We were looking.
Okay,
It's
we
in
got
there.
this
Yeah,
jail
for
cell's
that
been
Potbelly
painted.
stove. Yep.
So, now you wanna go through the rest of them then, Lindsay?
And then there were a couple about the house, so like reinforcing the boards in the house and getting rid of all the nails that are in there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other, category, I guess, is interpretation of the site.
Yeah,
Oh, one thing Ellen's going to be doing, because is getting a little sign up to show how deep the flood was in
Oh, yeah,
2013, and get that on the wall inside the house.
that's a good idea. Inside there.
That's neat. So then everything with the barn, would we be still working on that this year, or would it be?
This year.
Yeah, so,
Depending on the proposal that gets proposed.
and then with the house, is that something we would also address still this year, or, thinking about working on the boards inside the house and pulling off the nails and things like that, like for next year maybe?
Well,
I have a question about pulling the nails off the interior walls.
If that was something we were going to do.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be the nails that people used to hang their clothes on with it, because I think those should stay
I'm not sure.
in that bedroom area, because
Yeah.
there's the nails up farther, which is obviously where they hung their clothes, and I think that's.
Yeah, definitely.
And they aren't a hazard or anything, they're above people's heads.
I think that was a concern Wally brought up, so, what do you think, Wally, about the one she's talking about?
I would say if we think it's where they hung the clothes and they're up to where we don't have to worry about, especially if we end up sometime getting kids in there, walking past them and getting hung up on them, I don't see any reason to not leave them.
Yeah, cause you had in mind the ones that are so low that, kids could, especially those that are so low that kids could
Yeah.
bump into and,
Yeah.
hurt themselves.
Plus, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't there in the ceiling some stuff that's maybe sticking down out of the ceiling? We maybe ought to take a look at that. You know, for short people, that's not a big deal, but you get somebody in there fairly tall, they could rake their head across.
Yeah.
I can't remember for sure if there's anything sticking in there, or that's something we'd have to look at, and if it is, there's not much. It's not like it's a huge hazard. It's just a thought.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put, like, reevaluate the house at
Sure.
some point, so we can decide what the best thing to do with it is. And then there's lots of different opportunities for interpretation over there. Really cool.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I think with the mine site, most of this is, I was going to talk to Boulder County about the landmark status,
Yeah.
and then the rest is interpretation.
Geraldine and I were talking yesterday about the possibility of visiting that whole landmark thing since we made this reconnected with the Rocky Mountain Fuel Company guy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so we know how to get a hold of him now, so. And Carol said all she had to do would be to print it off again, the proposal. and so-
Right, they already did all the work
Yeah.
on it.
So we got a possibility there, let's put it that way,
Oh, that's really neat.
yeah.
Now, there's one thing, going back to Grasso property, and we've talked about this, and we really, I don't think have decided if we even want to do anything, but that's that whole piece of orange equipment that's sitting off sort of behind the barn. I don't know if if we wanna keep it. If we do, then I think sometime in there, and I don't know when, we should probably address trying to clean it up a little bit and make it look a little more presentable. If not, how do we tactfully handle that without stepping on any toes?
Would anyone's toes be offended now that George has died, and he's the one who
Yeah.
dumped it on us?
I can't answer that, too.
I mean, it was in the middle of
I
summer.
have no idea.
Yeah, but he did it without, he just brought it over and set
Yeah.
it there, didn't he? He didn't-
Brian and I talked about this the other day too, so,
Or any of the other, his surviving family, are they emotionally attached to this thing? Pardon?
Did the original grant for the Grassl Park, it, I don't know what the terms are, how it was written, but I don't think it included that type of equipment.
that's probably a
I
good
think,
point, Bob,
I
yeah.
think the grant was, you had to, I don't know, a certain time frame. I think. I don't know, like I say.
Yeah, you
So
told
you
them,
might,
like,
might
period of
use that as
significance.
an out.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
yeah, if questioned, yes,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Well, Brian and I were
Good
talking
thinking,
the other day
Bob.
about maybe approaching George Leo about it and see if, maybe he'd like to take it off our hands or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Recycle.
Recycle it.
I mean, I would say if the general consensus amongst all of us is, it's really not that time period that we want in there, maybe we should think about moving forward with that, and see if there's any way that particular piece we could, all of a sudden have it disappear.
Well, I think that's what the consensus is. I don't know if we need to do a motion on that or just
it's never been official
pursue that.
property, has it?
Get a fill out a donation form.
Unless we just wanna check and find out, you know, like if George Leo would be interested in taking it. And then if we get that far, if you wanna make a motion on it, we could then address it at that time.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like George was storing this at the park. George is passing. We can no longer store this for him. Would the family like it returned? Or do they authorize us to dispose of it?
Right.
Remember, we pulled
I
it.
mean,
we-
fall
we-
back on,
We brought it over, he put it in what's now Asti Park, and then, I think one of the funniest things I ever saw was Matt Rarick had a tractor and he was pulling it down the street, and Martin Toth was walking behind him as the security guy, make sure that people could tell that it was
but it's
being towed down the
stored there.
street.
I
You know,
don't say
the
illegal,
rubber,
but
the no,
unauthorized.
non-inflated
Unauthorized
rubber
storage.
tires were going every
And-
which way.
Yeah.
Wish I had that on film, that'd make a good YouTube.
Would you like to add it? If not, how are you going to dispose of it by X date?
Yes, we're gonna
Yeah, if
pursue
we're
that.
doing like
Property, it's
new
town
interpretation on the different sites that we have, then it makes sense to like focus on the time period of significance that
Yeah.
makes sense for that
Yes,
site.
it does, and I think Bob is right about there was a contextual time frame that the, Grassl Park was supposed to encompass in having a combine from the 30s or 40s that exactly fit, so. I think we can finesse that out.
I would suggest that if we're going to remove it, that perhaps sooner would be better than later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been there for, I'm not saying tomorrow, but
Yeah.
it's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no
Doesn't
no
contribute.
paperwork with that, is it?
There's no paperwork.
It came in and sat there. Yeah.
So we don't have to de-accession it.
Well, it is at the museums or is it the towns being in the park? I mean, I don't think it's a historic commission. I think it's a town park that has this thing,
Yeah.
this monstrosity.
La, la,
It's not supposed to, you know, that's being stored. I'm using the word stored. I don't know what else to use, but at what point do we say,
It's more tactful than dumped.
because it doesn't fit the historic parameters. It wasn't donated to us through the normal channels. It was,
We didn't seek it out.
right, it just showed up. And Brian, you're looking at me like, great, dump it on me, Jill.
Brian and Karen
Jill, let
saying
me
thanks
store
a lot,
this.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I can easily chat, I'll just chat with Patrick about this,
Yeah.
get a little more
Sure.
background on it, and then
Yeah,
approach George Leo if need be, and
yeah.
have an update next month for the group, and.
Or
Well,
maybe it'll be
okay.
gone.
I
by
was just
next
gonna
month.
say, I
It'll
think
be gone.
we feel the consensus
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
can, we'll
You
just.
feel it?
Exactly, or we could just, yeah,
Yeah.
so.
I'd hate to walk down there some morning and it's gone.
That'd be awful.
Just hope it doesn't go someplace worse.
Yeah, put it right next to the museum building.
Right here on the front porch.
Well,
The next category was historic residential buildings, and actually, no, Daryl, you were really interested in, like,
Well, and that's funny you say that, because I was in Lafayette for Art Night Out a couple weeks ago, and walked by a historic home that had a plaque in front of it, and it sort of reinvigorated that thought, because I love the Lost Superior book, but I'd love to also focus on the existing. I mean, we lost another home in town, and it's gonna be replaced now by townhomes, and so I'd like people to know how old some of the buildings are here, and that there's really deep connections. So, and I took a picture of it. It was a pretty simple, you know, it was an old picture of the house. It talked about the date that it was built and the family members. So, but like my house is 118 years old and we're the third owners. I mean, that's pretty unusual, you know, so there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of history like that in town with the existing
yeah,
homes.
definitely.
I think that's a good idea, if we can get the homeowners to, you know,
If they want, it's a
yeah,
voluntary,
if they want,
absolutely.
certainly.
Right,
I
yeah.
think that would be an excellent idea.
Well, and then I was thinking with the second grade field trip, they walk they usually walk on the other side of the street, but they're walking up Coal Creek, and there are a number of homes there that, you know, that could tie right in if there was plaques and interesting things for them to look at and wayfinding along the way up to the park.
Would this be something that, as we get it going, let's say John and Susie Jones say, yeah, that's really cool, but we don't want to afford this sign, that we could have it out of our budget to afford 10 signs a year or 5 signs a year or something for homes that are willing. You know, just throwing that out.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. This is almost like a separate project and have a separate funding and committee or something like that to decide upon.
Well, and in some ways, you're right, because I think people should apply for it in a, you know, and submit paperwork about their homes to authenticate the fact that it's been around for a long time.
well, so with, I guess with the Lost Superior project, like, they had all these, I mean, I wasn't around, obviously, but there were, like, community meetings about house history and things like that. Because there's that, like, recording in the oral history project that has everybody talking about where their house came from.
Was Denzel in that one?
No, that was, it was the,
It was a group of
it was the
people.
inventory, yeah. So, yeah, it was when they did the inventory of the town, that's right.
Yeah.
So the survey of all the historic
Yeah.
buildings, so they've already done like the official survey. And then when they did that, there was some sort of event where people came to a meeting and were talking about their house histories. So it'd be cool if we could do something like that again and like combine the old information with any new information that people have, and then we try to get people excited about the fact that they have historic houses. And yeah, make people feel pride in that part of town, you know?
Yeah, we have that, I think that, like you say, that record is there, and they could possibly, maybe just contact those people and ask them if they'd be interested. At least start the dialogue with them and go from there. Because I don't remember, how many did we have on that where we felt they were historic?
It was like 32 historic and then 22 significant or something like
Okay.
that, where you could actually tell
Yeah,
that not as many changes have been made or something.
yeah. So that would be a start.
That's something like, Larry, you said it's sort of a separate project almost, that this will take some work, but I think that'd be really good.
Me too.
Lindsay, do you have that architectural survey that was done in the early 2000s? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I had
Okay, you have
it
that,
from like
okay.
2 years ago. I think it's still in my email.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think you emailed
Yeah,
that
that's right,
to all of
yeah.
us
Okay.
at one time.
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, and then I listened to at least part of the oral history thing that they have on the Carnegie Library
Yeah,
website.
okay.
So.
Well, it's going on toward 11,
Yeah.
well, it's 11:15.
Yeah, we covered 3 categories, so I think, we might as well do the next one though. Historic non-residential buildings, so we talked about interpretive signs by the Old Town Hall and for the Bell. I don't know if there's other non-residential buildings that we should include with the updated building inventory, which we talked about, like the school building and things like that.
Isn't the town hall, this building, isn't there part of it that's historic, that could be included? Even though it's not a residential now, wasn't it once?
No,
It was a residence at one point in
Yeah,
time.
that's what I thought.
Yeah,
I
it absolutely
knew from
was. It was
somewhere.
donated to the town to be used as the town hall.
Was it moved in, or was it on?
No, it was
on
here.
the site? That's what
It was a home that was
thought
here.
I remembered.
Yeah.
The town hall?
Mhm.
Oh, this town hall?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I was still, I'm
With the
thinking of the
other-
firehouse.
The architectural survey only covered residential buildings, and we had previously discussed many times, obviously, that maybe non-residential buildings should be on there so that people are aware
Yeah.
of their existence. So I think
Are you
that's
thinking on
important.
that too? Are you thinking maybe the signs, like we had a little interpretive sign by where the company store was, indicating that's where this company store was, or where the pool hall was, and that.
Or even by Old Chicago, wasn't that, who said that was it the gas station, something by where Old Chicago is now, was,
That was Ted Estes gas station, wasn't
yeah.
it, in that
it was a
general
gas
area?
station.
Those are over across, those kind of on the other side of Turnpike.
Oh, okay.
Oh, was it? Oh. Okay. Louisville, then, we can't have it.
Well, it's probably under the Caslin Bridge now. Okay,
Okay, great. And then we're at the
Great.
cemetery, which obviously
Yeah,
is already
that's-
being taken care of.
yeah.
Perfect.
Well, okay, we got a whole bunch of things under the 2018 budget spending. Because what happened was that Brian and I met with Pedro, and he's going to come up with some estimates. So Pedro is the guy he and his crew installed the water pump and rebuilt the back porch. And so what we proposed to him was to work on the front porch at the museum building, and we think just replace the 2x4s because underneath is pressure treated wood already, but we won't know until they takes it apart, of course. And so it would be the front would be just like the back. So that would be one that would come out of our budget. He's going to work on the barn floor. His proposal will include working on the barn floor, and we demonstrated how we thought we could just maybe take deck screws or whatever, screw it right down, those loose boards down. And the porch on the barn, and we went through the process of trying maybe build a new substructure out of pressure-treated wood, and then try to incorporate those old existing boards on the porch so that it looks old rather than paint it like the new one. So those are all things that would come out of, that would be paid for. The broken window, tweaking the museum front door, and tweaking the Grasso front door, Brian thinks the town staff can do. And so the barn front, the Grasso front door is that they relocated the hasp, but it allows the door to be opened by, have a crack by like about an inch, so it's just a matter of refinessing the hasp. And then on the museum front door, the weather stripping, you can see right through it. Well, Pedro figured out that, was Pedro going to do that?
Yeah, that may be something I think he was
Yeah,
gonna.
so Pedro's probably gonna do that too. It looks like you can relocate the striker and it should shut tight and then it won't be porous. So, did I get everything, Brian?
Yeah, and I think the only other thing we noticed on the some of the batten boards on the south side of the house were getting a little bit loose, so just kind of firming those up a little bit.
Yeah, some of the new ones, and a couple of
Yeah.
the new ones are cupped real bad, so I'm gonna see if we can find some. I might have to replace that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's, and then also looking into potentially having some type of extermination program for
Yeah.
the barn, because with all those mouse droppings in there, having someone periodically go in there and treat, determining first what the source is, but yeah, it's pretty bad.
A lot of pellets.
You got an exterminator in town.
Yeah, well, yeah, we did use someone, yeah, we have someone that we've used.
Trade out.
Yeah, yeah.
Cat.
There we go. We need one. Need a barn cat. Yeah. So, we had 2 years ago, we had a major cleanup, and it's bad now, so Brian and I were talking about maybe finance a quarterly treatment by a pest control company.
Well, every time they dig anything around here, you're gonna get more. I mean, that happens in our house, and so yeah, some
Yeah.
sort of routine taken care of is a good idea for sure.
I think it should be a routine deal, yeah. So that should, we'll see what Pedro's proposal is and how it fits within our $4,000 that's left, so.
Do we have an approximate cost?
We only talked to him on Wednesday, so.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, because then will come up, it'll be October's meeting. And I would guess this all wouldn't take 4,300, so
I
we'll
wouldn't
have
think so
another
either,
chunk to
yeah.
spend fast.
We probably see, I think the front porch will probably be that and the porch at the barn, probably the more significant cost, but definitely I would think everything will come in well under the 4,300.
Yeah, so
for
we
sure.
need to be thinking, so we don't lose.
Yeah.
Did he say his guys were gonna clean up the barn before they strew the boards down?
Yeah,
I don't want
for
those
sure,
guys
yeah.
going in there.
Yeah.
Junk in there, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't seem like that was going to be a deterrent
Did he?
for doing the work, but I'll chat with him about that.
Yeah.
So.
Because that stuff's dangerous.
Yeah, mask.
Yeah. So, yeah, on Mary's right, we have to keep an eye on this, so if we don't expend the whole 4,000, might have some things in advance, and then we'll have the conference in Denver that Lindsay went to last year, and a lot of times sometimes we can register before the end of this year,
Yeah.
because it's in February. So that'll
And
be-
then I wanted to do, like the display on the influenza epidemic,
Yeah.
so that, I'm not sure how much that normally costs to get printed. That's something to consider too. I'm hoping to have that done by the November, well, definitely want to have it done by the November museum
Oh,
opening.
okay, good, yeah. Well, there may be some expenditure there then. Like, that usually involves, well, you know better than I do, because you get the bills from Katie about the manufacturing of those boards and things like that, so.
In the
Was that usually been a couple hundred or less?
Yeah, yeah, shouldn't be a problem at all.
Okay.
Just a quick thought, as we get the barn ready to be viewed much more often, just to even have a sign saying manger, by the manger there, and things that as even kids or the May trip, as people look in, they can see what it is, because it's not like the manger you see in a nativity display, but obviously where the cattle fed, and just some little small quick signs maybe in there. I don't know what else would be. Anyway.
We have a lot of ideas for signs, but then we don't get them produced, so.
I mean, I think, yeah, if you guys, or if someone gets us the language, we can easily work with whether it's fast signs or whatnot, whoever's done some of the similar signs in town and
And
get
so we
that
talked
done,
about
yeah.
doing it for the farm equipment, for
Yeah,
example.
oh yeah, the farm equipment, yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
So,
Okay, in this department, we also want to talk about the Lost Superior printing. Daryl submitted an estimate, and it goes like this: printing 500 books, $1,710, print 500 maps, $512, $564, project management, $300, total $2,574. And I got back with Bonnie Blake from the original company, and told her we'd like, the town would like more than one estimate. And so what about the files? And who has the copyrights? And so here's her response. The electronic files we used for the last printing were supplied to us by your designer. We don't deal with publication rights and assume they are yours. I had mentioned that the last printing was done a long while back from a program that's rarely used anymore, Quark, and will need to be converted to InDesign. I can easily send you the files if you would like them. Please let me know if you need anything more. So,
I actually still run Quark Express, so they wouldn't have to be converted to InDesign.
So,
If we can get the electronic files, that's a really good thing to have. And then you guys can decide where you want them printed, how many you want printed, and that kind of thing. But having the files would be great.
So yeah, just a quick reminder on that, I went with Patrick with the requests from the commission for $9,000 in next year's budget. So obviously there now we have Daryl's quote as well, which is substantially lower than that, but obviously that's kind of where we're at with this. So it'd still be a 2019 item more than likely, but just another quote to consider right now. So.
And the other thing that can happen with that quote is you don't have to print 500. You can print as few. It's the same price whether you printed 10 of them or 500. It's about $2 to $3 per book. But the thing it doesn't have is the pocket in the back, and you'd have to hand insert the maps. But you'd already kind of established that. And my book that I have, the pocket fell out a long time ago, and the map I just kind of keep it tucked into it. So.
That's not unusual to have map inserts just in the book.
Right, exactly. I think that cost savings is well worth it, and the cost that you would spend to put that pocket in the back, not worth it because it just falls out anyway.
Right. And I don't think we should let the $9,000 request hinder moving forward with something like this if this is what the group is interested in doing, because obviously it's quite a savings, and it's also utilizing someone local, resident,
Well, do you do the actual printing, Daryl?
I don't actually print, I do design work. So like if we got the electronic files and you wanted to update the forward, I could add pages and put in an updated forward and whatever it is that you wanted to do.
I want to put that errata in there, so.
Right, well, and I was just going to touch on that too, as far as you guys were talking about signs. Daryl, you do.
Yeah, I mean, I could help design a sign, and I know that the CAPS committee would love to get involved as well, because part of our name is the cultural arts, and that includes the historic component of what's going on in town. Mm-hmm. So we would absolutely love to work with you guys on that.
I could see that as a neat go-together with historic signs in front of the houses. Because some, people with extra art kind of things could add the flourishes and, I don't know. I just see that as a really neat go-together.
Yeah.
Well, and you could add you could add pictures, current and past pictures in the back of the book as an interesting So this is lost Superior, but these are the ones that are still here. You know, they're not lost, they still exist. And
Yeah,
it's just an
add to
idea,
the book,
you know.
yeah.
So your proposal would be that you would take those files and then doing updates and what have you, put
Yes.
together the new book, and then, but how's it get printed then?
Well, that's so the printing is, so there's a place called Create Space Online, and I do a lot of book designs. And so you submit to them, and that cost for printing is from them. So it includes a glossy cover, the number of pages, it's based on the pages you have currently, so it might be a little bit more because if you're adding, but not necessarily too much more.
And it gets
Yeah.
printed someplace else and they ship it?
And we could actually get a sample printed, so if we got the electronic files, we could get a sample printed and make sure it's the quality that you want, and that it matches the standard that you guys feel is representative of the committee in the book.
That's great.
Wow, that sounds awfully good.
And if we could get the files, Larry, just to have on town,
Yeah, we should have.
we should have those
Yeah.
anyway, so we need to get those here.
Absolutely, yep.
Because we should have that,
I don't know
so,
what she meant by send, would she send electronically?
yeah.
You can't do
And they can, yeah, and they can send them directly to me.
Okay.
Yeah. And if they're too big, then they can do it via Dropbox or some other way, but they'll know. how to do
And
it.
there is an update as far as that goes as well. We've been working through Sandy Hammerly and the board trustees about drop boxes for each of the committees. So there will be a historic drop box that we can put information in that committee members will have access to.
Well, I wonder if we don't have those someplace, electronic files someplace, because I don't know why we wouldn't have done it. I wasn't involved in the project.
And I can look again, but when I was looking for cemetery stuff, I don't recall. I mean, I wasn't looking for Lost Superior files, but I've gone through everything that we have.
Jennifer Dunn was the liaison.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff from her. And I'll do a double check. I'll look again.
Catherine Barth may be able to help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah,
She was heavily involved in
Yeah,
may know also.
maybe I'll ask her.
I would think that we had those somewhere, but I really don't
It
know.
would seem like it would have ended up, again, if it's possession of the town of Superior, it would have been saved someplace here in the town, but it's been 14 years too.
It's been a while.
Okay, excellent. So where do we stand on this issue then? Should we have Daryl do a sample copy, just have,
Well, as soon as we have the
You want the file
files, we
first,
can,
okay.
yeah, I think it would be a great idea to print a sample to see and make sure.
And you've done this before for other things,
Yes. I've
so
been-
is the quality good? I mean, the paper quality and,
Yeah, absolutely. I should have brought, I have some books that I've done through them at home, and I can bring you guys a sample so you can see. It's not this, they're literature. They're not that size, but I'm happy to bring them and show you so you can
okay.
decide. And there are other printers to go with. I was just sort of giving you an example of, it's called print on demand.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of the newest standard. So you don't have to print huge amounts of them and store them and that kind of thing, that you can literally, without incurring additional expenses every time you want to print. That used to be the problem, is that every time you printed, it would cost another $600 to set up the book, to clean the plates, to do all of that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much gone by the wayside now. So.
Well, then is there any other old business? Shall we move on to the next, rest of the agenda?
Yes, they're on Superior.
And then, okay, so we go on to new business. I'll be there on the 6th of October, I guess. Anybody else available for our next opening?
Try and help out.
All right, well, now we have the field trip the day before, Bob, so you might do one or the other. You know.
I'll pace myself.
Yeah, you see how you feel after Friday, huh?
Yeah, I should be able to.
And I'm trying to come late, like late 1 o'clock-ish. Late.
That's fine. You know, if people go for 2 hours, that's fine, so. Well, of course,
We're-
you're still around, you're
and
gonna have to be
we're not-
resting up also.
No, we're not resting up. We're trying to get one more camping trip in. And I'm not sure when it's gonna be. That's why we're kind of wishy-washy on these
That's okay.
answers.
That's what you need to do, you need to take care of your recreation.
Get you on the,
We'll make it work, huh?
huh?
I'll do my
We may
best.
not go until the 8th, so that would be okay then.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
How
Just
much
keep
longer
us
you
in
gonna drive, you don't
mind.
have any idea?
I'll see what I can do to get to the next roundtable meeting. Anybody interested in going to the Castle Rock Historical Society? A lot of times they have some interesting locations in Castle Rock.
I'm pulling this stuff off of their schedule that I printed a long time ago.
Okay, so.
And I don't know how accurate these are
Yeah,
anymore.
it may not be, we know it's gonna be on that date anyway, so.
Yeah, it would be that date.
She's gonna have to excuse us, she's got an appointment, so we gotta go.
All right, that's
All right, have a
fine.
great day.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning.
Bye-bye, Maureen. Everybody made it to, got parked okay, huh? After all the brouhaha going on out in the lot.
Just normal stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. Say goodbye
See all you
to us.
guys.
You bet.
Thanks for your input.
Yes. Okay, now we've got the account for the memorial donations discussion. What have we done in the past? One time we had a whole separate account, huh?
Yeah, when Margie passed
Yeah.
away, and a lot of that stuff was designated as improvements to the museum. I
Otherwise.
don't know, maybe Bob can speak to where that money was kept at one time.
Well, now, it's,
Bank account.
actually, that goes back a long ways now.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
With Margie, I think we just put it, in the historic account, not the,
Yeah,
no special account, really, just,
Was it the bank account, Bob, our old bank
no, it was,
account?
like the fire
Preservation account.
but way back when, didn't some of that go into your US bank account?
Well, we
Long
had
time
that
ago.
account before
Yeah.
the town took it over, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we had our own account, but. and-
Don't say you are to Bob, remember, that was his vacation account. No.
But we had to give that up because of some of the other commissions didn't like it, I guess.
Was there anything wrong with just putting it into the regular preservation account?
Into the fire
Or into the
account.
fire truck account?
I don't think so. The only reason I put it on here was to spur a discussion.
Well, I think this should be discussed, yeah, because,
Yeah. Right now, I think putting in the restoration account would be, I think, acceptable. I don't know who would be opposed to it.
because it should happen again. We missed, well, we didn't miss, the book got missed at Ted Asty because it didn't get into the obituary, so we only got a couple. Well, what happened to those that we got for Ted Asty? Did they go into the regular account?
Did you get some other monies, Brian?
Yeah,
Really?
to ask you, it did just go in the fire truck account.
Yeah, you're right, it's just
Yeah.
going to.
At least I only
So
wrote a
that's
thank
where you
you.
put it?
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
See your name right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, DeSalles gave something to Ted's account, so that just, okay, so what's our consensus? Just go into the preservation account?
Or you mean the fire truck account?
Yeah.
Is that where we are now? Okay. How about the fire truck?
Restoration.
Do we want to stipulate it has to be the fire truck? I mean, has to be working the,
If they walked in the museum and put $50 in the jar and said, "I remember Denzel," what would we do with the money?
Give it to Brian.
So what happens
So
to
where does the
it from
fire
there?
truck
Yeah.
money come from then?
Well, you use the restoration account, you use it for maintenance of the truck.
Yeah, I mean, it's
and
so with
stuff in
the,
the museum.
yeah.
Well, let's back up to Jill's question now, dude. When Bob or I bring you the money from the donation jar, They go in the fire truck account?
Yeah, it's always gone in the
Yeah,
fire truck
so,
account now.
I mean, that
Yeah.
equivalent of, except it came through the funeral home
Yeah,
and the mail, right? Instead of walking into the museum.
yeah, makes sense.
And it, and it's called the fire truck account, but, and it can be used, even in light of like all that restoration work, it can still be used towards maybe ongoing maintenance on the fire truck, but I don't think it necessarily needs to, I mean, if there's something the group would want that money to go towards, that's not fire truck related, I mean.
Yeah, that's,
I mean, it's called the fire truck
If we need to
account,
lay new
but-
brick on the
Right.
Maybe you
on the
want to
chimney,
rename
right?
the account.
Yeah.
that's what I'm.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna suggest, is rename the account.
We can rename
Maybe
it,
so.
so, yeah.
Maybe so. In the memory of Denzel, you can talk about the chimney.
We're gonna, exactly. But if we ever need to redo the brick on the chimney,
Yeah, we have to reincarnate Denzel for that.
so I've got it on video.
In other words,
Do you?
putting,
Uh-huh.
Oh, gosh.
putting it into the fire
Those
truck
said it
account
so bad. Oh, excuse me.
means it's just separate from what the town has
Yeah.
budgeted, so.
Yeah, right, right.
we just have more- and that just makes it
Part of the general
separate,
fund.
yeah.
The special extras.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It just makes
maybe we
sense.
should
Yeah.
do some thinking about how, what to call that account, maybe have, if it's
Yeah, I think so.
legit, we
yeah.
can rename it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to keep it out of the general account because
Yeah.
people donate it for historic purposes. So you got to have your own historic account of some type.
Well,
Okay.
we could think about a name in the future, but meanwhile, put the donations into the fire truck
Let's
account.
do that.
Yeah.
It can't be anything about your police trip either.
I tell you, I don't know about it.
That is Cayman account.
Well, as we know, most of us know, there was some unusual situation that took place with our little birthday deal, but when we were sitting around on the last opening, Jill got the idea about, we all had the idea, maybe we should make this available for birthdays and what have you in the future. And so Jill did some research, and
It's all on the town website already. Literally reserving the park, how much it costs, how to do it, it's all there. The only thing it doesn't include is entering the museum. So Asti Park is there, I think it's $90, right? You pay to reserve the shelter and use it, or you can just show up ad hoc and hope no one's there. But what is not there is if they want to go inside the museum, or inside the barn, or the jail cell, or whatever the theme of the party is at the park. So I think it's a matter of adding that with the requirement that at least 2 commission members be present, right? To the existing town site, is just adding the blurb and the draw. I don't even think you need to add, I don't know if we add to the cost or not, right? But it's already there, the 90% of it. So it's
Yeah,
just,
I mean, we have our reservable shelters
Yeah.
online that you can, this isn't necessarily obviously apples to apples, because if we
No.
allow people to reserve, like, let's say, the museum online without knowing about staffing.
well, and that's where we said, we need to
Yeah.
add the blurb that says
Yeah.
if you're wanting to go into the museum,
Yeah,
these are the rules, right? That all food and drink have to be outside. There has to be at least 2 2 historic commission members present, et cetera, et cetera. So, but I think it's a matter of adding it there versus us creating a new anything.
and one other option to consider, you could make it viewable online, and I don't think it's necessarily outdated if we provided a form, which would be like a request form for a birthday party at the museum, and then I just,
Well, or you even just add a blurb that says, click here, and it brings up
yeah,
your email or whoever
Yeah,
to
exactly.
inquire about this, and it sends it there, yeah.
yeah.
But the rules for using the things are pretty well done. I mean, we read it, it's like, I wouldn't add, aside from the, like, no food inside and things.
so what we could do at some point would be to, in the Superior Sentinel or the Pros newsletter, what have you, to say, to do a little promotion about having a family birthday party or whatever at
Yeah.
Do we
National
want
Park,
to
including
do
the museum.
that?
Well, that was gonna be my question,
Do we
is do
really
you
want
want
to
it
do that?
advertised? Do you want that?
I don't know if we want it advertised, but I think having it set that people
Yes.
know when you
But-
do it, there's going to be,
Like by using the
Rules.
words
birthday party at the
Yeah.
museum? I mean, is that something that you want to see
I would almost
added,
say for
or just-
inquiries about special
Special
museum tours or events, please click here, you know, and just get inquiries that way. But it addresses that it's there and there's going to be, you know, requested donation, the no food, the concept of, you know, whoever that horrid person was who read between the lines, right? You know, there are, you know, crafts and activities won't be done inside, right? The basics that, because most kids are pretty good, but it only takes one being a weasel,
Right.
right?
Part of what I'm thinking is that since it's kind of oriented outdoors, that maybe this is something we don't do till, we get the I's dotted and T's crossed, and then bring it up maybe in the spring or something like that, because they're not going to do it in December probably.
No.
Well, and maybe it's not birthday parties, but it's birthday party tours.
Well, I was going to say functions and special tours.
Right.
I wouldn't even say birthday, I would just say
like the
functions,
event.
special functions, or special events and individualized tours or
Yeah,
something.
and make sure it's clear that it's a tour, that you're not hanging out in the museum.
Right,
Right.
having your cocktails served.
High tea and gâteau or something like that.
But I think it's a blurb of some kind just added to what
Yeah,
exists.
I think what we're thinking is have a birthday party in Astor Park and have the kids take a tour through the museum while they're having their party or something like that. I mean, obviously that's not completely
And
working.
honestly, I think it should be a cost. I mean, if you guys are spending your.
Well, as I said,
The donation.
minimum requested donation is $50 or whatever, yeah. Because we went through and I told them what I spent on birthday parties when you go to Jump City.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Tell you what I'm spending this Saturday night, you know? Yeah.
What do you spend Saturday night?
$300.
I was just gonna say, it's gotta
For
be
6
3 to 4.
girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 to 4, exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the going to do anything.
Next year, I recommend that there's a slow class.
I know.
$300.
I have a Flyers meeting, we're actually meeting and walking, so I've got to
Okay.
scoot, but
Okay, thanks for
Thanks for
coming.
being here today, Jill.
I'm going for 3.
All right.
Thanks again for the recipe. Did you like it? I haven't tried it yet. I had something else going on. Okay.
I think the other thing to consider is I think there's probably only one Avery, little girl in the world who is like sitting at the school desk and imagine what she's imagining.
Aw.
That's so sweet.
I mean,
So-
I totally would have done that too.
What's that?
I used to like make my bed into a covered wagon, so.
Oh, yeah. That was only 2 years ago, too.
That reminds me, at Denzel's reception, Catherine Barth indicated to me she has some old school desks and an old teacher's desk.
Oh.
And I think if we ever had the room for it, she's willing to donate those to us. And I don't know if the little girl,
They were
somebody
able to
once said, could
find,
we get a desk to the little girl, but
they found one for her birthday party, for her birthday present.
Oh, did they?
The family found her one.
Okay.
oh, that's
They
great.
went on
Isn't that funny?
Craigslist.
Oh, that's,
or-
okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyway, if we ever have room,
Yeah.
someday Catherine has some old stuff for us.
You also need to address what she maybe told those people at the reception over there about the books,
About the what?
about the Lost Superior books.
Can you talk about
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I'm not sure how well, I don't think we can handle this any other way than, okay, Catherine offered copies of our book to a few members of the Ackland family.
Oh.
And now he's sending several books out, but she didn't well, I think we're just giving them to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to make you aware that we're giving some books out to one was Denzel's grandson, the one that has the great-granddaughter. No,
Okay.
that's true. Oh, let me back, I've got their names and addresses. I
Well, there was
think
only
one's a
two separate ones, wasn't there?
No, I think,
yeah, one's the great-grandson, who has the great-great-granddaughter that was introduced at the Yeah,
one of the little booths.
they introduced her at the service.
Catherine going to send them the books?
No, I'm supposed to be sending
Oh, okay,
them.
okay.
So I need to get copies of the book to send to these people. Yeah, thanks, I forgot about that.
No problem. No problem.
Okay.
Any other new business?
I'll try not to take up much time. I have we have a display there of, we've got the Chips baseball jersey, and we have some photos, and then we also got the trophy, 1925. I have a copy here of the Colorado Heritage. It says Baseball in Colorado. And it's an article about the mining baseball teams. It's got quite a few photos here. It's also got a photo here of the Black Diamond Mine team over here in Lafayette. Anna was on that particular team was Whizzer White. He was part of the team, and some of the other. So I don't know if the commission would like to have this with the display of the baseball.
Good idea.
I think we should.
It's a good article. I mean, it
Finish reading it.
It covers all of the different teams. It got even the Gals baseball team here. And so it's, maybe you've seen it.
I haven't looked at it. I'll have to, well, if we do a display on
Yeah. But
the
yeah,
baseball
it was
subjects, spring maybe,
together by,
contact the author.
the reason I got it here is the author, Alicia here.
Oh, yeah, she's related to you.
She's my cousin, anyway. But yeah,
I got it, because I'm a member.
I thought I might go with the jersey and.
And you said a name for the jersey? You said Chips?
Pardon?
Did I hear you right?
Chipinelli.
Oh, because I never knew that we had a name for who the jersey belonged to.
Oh, yeah, that was Chip.
We got it from,
Yeah. Yeah,
we got it from Louise.
Louise gave it to us, yeah. When we went through the house over there.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another, we need another sign. It could be a small
We
sign.
should just have a
Gives you the
display about it, like
history of the,
in April or May, the beginning of the season next year.
different baseball clubs throughout the
Yeah, you know,
different mine
I
sites.
read through the article when I first got it, and I'm glad you reminded me to go back and get it finished. And so you have a backup too. I've got a copy of that as
Yeah,
well.
so yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks, Bob. Good idea.
So I'll turn it over to the commission here then, if you want to. And I can get some more copies of this if you want some more.
Nice.
You want it?
Sure. Or no, so you want to take it? Lynn?
No, I'll read it online, but
Okay.
take it for the museum if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, one other quick thing.
What else, Bob?
The Denzel's memorial, Catherine gave me, and I don't know why she gave them to me, I got the selective service registration card for Robert Morrison, Herb Morrison, and Fritz Morrison.
Oh, really? Captain Barth had those?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Not Catherine. Gladys.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Drawing a blank, yeah.
Video.
Okay. I'm thinking, I know we got past the book subject, but we could, with the print on demand thing, you can print 200 now and 200 in a few years or something.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can, whatever makes sense
Yeah.
budget-wise, absolutely. And then you don't have to store them somewhere, too. Like somebody's housing a bunch of books. It takes up space.
Luckily, we do have space for it, but yeah, it's still more practical, for sure.
Is there one out in the foyer to look at? I was going to look and see who,
They should have one
we
Selling
could-
some in Bonanza, yeah.
Do we know who to contact to get the electronic file?
Yeah, the first time,
Okay.
email I read there,
All right.
Bonnie Blake, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll do that. Any other new business? Okay, who's got it? Who's getting it today? You want to do it?
I make a motion, the meeting be adjourned.
Second.
All right.